Hello, friends, and welcome back to the OCL Optimal Esports Infinity, and happy to be here facing off for a fourth time tonight. I am surprised we've gotten this far, and I'm surprised we've gotten this far with the record as it stands. All's happy to be here up 2-1, looking to finally take this series. But OE Infinity, they are back on blue side. They're looking to rally. Now, are they going to make the adjustments necessary to cut down against the strengths that happy to be here have found in these last two games?
I'm not feeling it here, Nyarko. I think that Happy to Be Here has just been the better team the past two games, and I think Game 3 was the chance that OE Infinity had to show that they had something in their back pocket. I didn't see it. I don't think it's there. Unless they're going to massively surprise me in Game 4, I think the Bard Seraphine draft was their attempt at doing something to fix this, and I don't think it worked.
At the same time, though, because Bard Seraphine were big weaknesses, I think, for Optimal Esports Infinity, what we could see here is just another novel draft that could catch Happy to Be Here off guard. Because clearly, OE Infinity have pretty deep pools. In fact, they're lining up in a very interesting manner here. I don't know if this is the order they're actually going to play in, but this could be Blue Caboose mid and Izzo in the support role.
I think this is just they haven't bothered to get into LCS order. If
Ah,
this is the
boo.
play, if we're seeing Robin in the top lane, Pata in the jungle, Caboose in mid, that would be really funny, but I don't think would necessarily fix the problems.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're not putting Pata in the top side of the map, I think you're doing something wrong. That has always been a winning lane, or at least an even lane for them versus Pride Stalker NA. That was their one source of hope in game number 3. The problem is you put him on Ornn, guys. Like, yeah, he's getting solo kills, but it's an Ornn, and you're up against a freaking Veigar. This time, OE Infinity, though, instead of banning it out, they're just gonna first pick it away, deny Yoshi Miner going to that for a second time. So yeah, that is a change up for sure. And honestly, Alls, that's a really smart call.
Yeah, I mean, you did mention that the Vigar in B1 really locks down what you can play around it. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for OEI to draft the rest of the way. However, Izzo is a much more consistent carry than Robin. If you set
Yeah.
up Izzo to carry, you're probably in better shape than building a team specifically around Robin, who 3 games in, we haven't seen a real standout fight or even a real standout trade from him. He just hasn't really been firing, so having someone else be the carry is definitely the call here.
You see, he hasn't been firing, but any more talk about Robin, I think we're going to be the ones getting fired here. Alls. I definitely agree that de-emphasizing Robin is probably going to be best. Going back towards that server from game number 1 makes a lot of sense here, especially when you're up against something like Ashe Ezreal that could just poke you down. You're looking to go for the late game rather than making some big plays early. OEI, they are pivoting, and I like this so far.
Yeah, this is good. I'd like to see a support here that is capable of setting up for the Vigar, or is capable of just keeping them alive. The Soraka works just as well. Sure, let's play Enchanters.
Yeah, I think the Soraka is just kind of inferior to Sona right now, but I understand the value of like the targeted healing that you get from team fights where you're just really looking for one obscenely fed member to stay ahead rather than just, face rolling your keyboard and hoping that everybody gets enough healing to stay alive. Uh Also, your global ult is really valuable early. Veigar
Mhm.
could be the target of Happy to Be Here from minute number 1. And so, with that call, I think that this is a really smart choice. I like the Vladimir though to bounce back. Yoshimine are probably going to be the one taking this one, and now both of these guys kind of get a free landing phase off of this. They're just looking to raise these ponies into stallions that can take it deep and late. That sounds
Yeah,
really terrible. Holy crap!
I I can't even respond to this. I At least wait until we get a Hecarim in the game, please.
It's like about racing, they're like, never mind. Um, yeah. All right. So moving on to the second phase of bans, OE Infinity actually knocking out their own Ornn this time. I think this is actually a pretty smart call. You want to keep Pride Soccer NA off of these kind of like guaranteed value champions.
Mhm.
Probably would see a Maokai coming through here for the second ban if they really want to tamp down, given that that's what Pride Soccer was on in game number 3. But
They
no,
can pick it.
instead they're going to pivot over and actually ban out Mr. Ken's Kane. That leaves the Echo still up though.
Yeah, the Echo's up. He takes the Echo. That means OEI gets the Maokai. If they choose the Maokai instead, it means that Tim gets to play the Echo instead. Either way, they get both of those out of the hands of Happy to Be Here. Not necessarily what's going to happen, but definitely seems like good odds given what they banned.
But guys, Malphite has made it through the pick ban again. Just freaking pick that, put Pride Stalker on it, and it doesn't matter what Pata goes for. Like, I don't know how much I have to, like, lay it down on you guys. The champion's broken right now. It takes 0 skill to play. I'm not even saying that, like, Pride Stalker is a 0 skill player, but what I'm saying is that you can literally put anybody on it. They don't really have to practice the pick, and it has guaranteed value. Just do it. You already have carries on your side. You got Ashe, Ezreal, Vladimir. Probably the Jarvan's also going to pop off for Mystic Hen. So this is your time to shine. Go for the Malphite pit once this series.
Well, Red 5 is still available. The Jax being picked up for Pata, though, might de-emphasize it a little bit, because Jax just gets to kind of run down the Malphite, able to bash through that shield, able to really ignore the slow from Seismic Shard. Lee Sin as the final choice for Tim here. That's bold. That's aggressive. That's going to be interesting.
Here's the thing, right? OEI won game number 1 because they got ahead early and stayed ahead. I feel that, like, OEI, for as much as they struggled these last 2 games, still may have it in their minds that they are just the better players, and they're just going to better player gap them early. Happy to be here. Going for the set hover. This is pretty interesting up against the Jax, but this in fact is kind of showing that OEI still has a lot of draft confidence on their side. They are going to go for some sinful champions. They hopefully will pay off from that. But I really think that this is putting a lot of burden on Tim to be the carry early, ramp up this Veigar and Jax for late.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly a unique draft from OE Infinity. It feels solo queue-ish. I don't hate it. I think that if you're going to throw everything at the wall, this is your last chance. You might as well. But at the same time here, Happy to Be Here has the much easier to execute team. Unless OEI gets very far ahead when it comes to team fights, as long as Happy to Be Here hits their buttons, they win the fights.
That is true. That is true, especially once it goes late. A lot of guaranteed damage once again. I think this Maokai option at the very end is so much better than the set that they were hovering. I think Happy to Be Here probably have the more coherent draft, but given the way that these 2 teams have played, I don't actually know if it's better.
That's fair. The teams that have won outside of Game 1, the teams that have won have been Happy to Be Here, and they've won based on weird drafts that they've just outskilled on. So for OE Infinity, if they can just win the skill battle, they can certainly win this game. That being said, I think this is a toss-up. I know Happy to Be Here has looked very good, and on that merit, I think they're going to win the game. But just looking at this draft, I think it's going to be much closer than it has any right to be.
Yeah, for once, we may actually be getting a game going deep and late. Why am I using these euphemisms, man? You know what I mean? I think that, like, this will be the game that is actually even through the first Baron take or something like that, or the Baron take is going to be put off until, like, the 30-minute mark. The question is, once we get to that state of the game, who actually comes out ahead in your eyes?
If we get that late in the game, I think that Happy to Be Here actually has a slightly better fight at 40-45 minutes. I think that the Ezreal does very well at 4.5 items. I think the Vladimir, once he gets 6 items, is huge. Maokai will become nearly unkillable. It'll take getting to about 70 minutes before the Veigar stacks up to get through those carries, unless Izzo is very, very far ahead by the 40-45 minute mark. So if it gets to that late game, I think Happy to Be Here has the drive.
All right. Well, we did see a Veigar get disgustingly fed already in this series. So the extent to which Happy to Be Here is going to respect it versus what Optimal Esports Infinity did in game number 3 is still up in the air. But I would tend to agree with you. This Vladimir, I think, is a really good option. It's a response that I wasn't necessarily expecting, but certainly has its value versus something like the Veigar. And the fact that you have the Maokai top means that once again, a lot of these immobile champions on Infinity's side could actually struggle quite a bit. That Soraka for Blue Caboose is looking a little bit more dicey now that you have that Nature's Grasp constantly available. So Yeah, with that in mind, happy to be here. I think come out slightly better in this draft, but OE Infinity, they're finally picking for their strengths. Their gloves are coming off, and I think that they could put a real fight. So happy to be here, and they desperately need to in this game here, Alls, because remember, this is an elimination series, and not only that, but OE Infinity are about to be eliminated if they lose this game. So happy to be here in 4 games. We're looking to take this 3-1 OE Infinity. Need to take us to a decisive 5. We're gonna throw it to a quick break. When we return, it's gonna be for the 4th game of the night. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Rift for what could be the final time tonight. Optimal Esports Infinity with their backs to the wall, down 2-1 or 1-2, I guess is the best way to articulate that. In this series versus Happy to Be Here. If they lose this, they are out of the OCL for this season. We're seeing everybody go for a nice, pretty standard 5 points to start us off, and I think that this is probably the best call, given that this is a game most likely to go late above all else. We got that Veigar, we got that Vladimir, and we have a game on our hands. Aulz, what do you want to see early from this?
I want to see some good pressure from the red team using Mystiken on the J4 to pressure Pata and Izzo. They're going to be the major carries here. We haven't seen much out of Robin, so don't need to pressure the bot lane too hard. The poke's going to do that for you with Vortex Ninja and Savan. So I want him to focus on the top side, perhaps even try and force Tim into a vertical jungle situation. Meanwhile, for Tim, needs to do the same, needs to focus the top side, which means he'll need to fight the vertical jungle here.
Yeah, I think there's a few different angles to go. This might be the first time this series where we also see some amount of ganks being directed towards the mid lane, because up until this point, Alls, everything has been about the sides. And I want that to change because Yoshi clearly proved that they are able to solo carry games off of what we saw in round number 3. And Izzo needs to be shored up. They are another strong member, this time for OEI. And I mean, if their play on that Ahri is anything to expect, even if a team is behind, OEI still can rely on that mid laner.
Yeah, absolutely. Izzo has been a rock here, doing decently well even on games where he really hasn't been able to be the main focus for Tim and Pata here to help out. I'd like to see him step up. I'd like to see him be able to be the carry here. On the Veigar, he is well poised to do so. Top lane, Pata has to do the same thing. Has done well in lanes with putting Pride Stalker down. Has not been able to turn that into actual meaningful game wins outside of game 1.
Yeah, and this time on the Jax, I think that they have far more carry potential than what we've been seeing in past rounds. Unfortunately, their dominance on that Ornn from game number 3 didn't translate into a whole lot. They just became exceptionally tanky, but yeah, Izzo, when you're at 12-0 on a Veigar, you're going to outstrip any amount of resistances that a champion can build, unfortunately.
Yeah, Yoshi Minor last game got a little bit large, to say that kindly. Yeah. We are seeing early ganks here coming out from Mystiken. Is going towards that bot lane. Robin and Blue Caboose are very far forward, so this will be an easy gank.
Yeah, huge wraparound, and I think that this is going to be Optimal Esports Infinity getting punished for this overextension. Blue Caboose already going low, gonna burn their flash and their heal, trying to get out to safety, actually succeeds in doing so, and this is substantial poke being put on by Robin back towards Vortex Ninja and company. I don't know if Mystiken can actually go for anything. They are hovering in this area, though, even as they sit on a ward.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage being put back over. I'd say overall, especially since Soraka can heal back up with those star calls, this might just be a win for OEI, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah, certainly the case that Optimal Esports Infinity, by repelling that, knowing where the Jarvan is now, they freed up this Lee Sin to go for a deep invade Tim, getting the Raptors of the enemy, and now happy to be here. They got to worry, although Savan, even with a low health bar, they're going to push forward again. Mystiken is just going to regain this lane, and this time Blue Caboose does go down. First blood claimed by Happy to be here.
And the exhaust by Savan will save the jungler. This is huge, although Mystiken going back in, I don't know about this one.
They do get the flash out of Robin. The Sivir has to respect that play, and Mystiken, they were one auto away from dying, but die they do not, and so Happy to be here. They come out all profits bot.
Yeah, one auto, one minion auto away, under 10 health there at the end. That's huge for the bot side and the jungle of this HBH team. Looking good, and that was an angle. That was what OEI needed to go well. They just couldn't get it to turn.
All right, well, this is still very early on, and none of the big carries have gotten fed yet, right? Mystiken on this Jarvan is much more just kind of a play facilitator. Even when they were on the Echo and they got pretty fed in game number 3, they took a backseat to let Yoshi get most of the kills and whatnot. And so, that being said, I don't think that this Jarvan is going to play for like an assassin style or anything like that. It's just going to be a nice, gentle ramp that could bring some of that gold value, hopefully to mid, like I said before, for this Vladimir to finally get on the board.
Yeah, I will say, the upside to all of that fighting for OEI is that Tim was able to free farm that entire time, because Mystiken was so focused on the bot lane, didn't do much farming. Additionally, Robin still has a significant CS lead, and Vortex Ninja didn't pick up the assist there. So good gold advantage in his favor as well.
Something to watch out for sure. Optimal Esports Infinity still holding on in multiple ways. They're only down about 300 gold right now, and that's just not a whole lot, especially if you have Mystiken on the far side of the map. It's very easy for Robin and Blue Caboose to still try to force a play. That being said, Mystiken does want to continue to focus bot because right now that is Dragon on the table. That being said, great route there from Blue Caboose off of the Soraka E. Mystiken, less than half health, has to be very careful about how they approach this play if they want to approach at all. As it currently stands, it looks like they just have to back off.
Saivan might be in trouble here. They didn't realize that Tim was in the area, and they're going to pay for it heavily.
Not at all. Really, really bad call there by the Ashe support. They're just taken down in an instant. And, you know, for as much as Mystiken was hovering this area, I think it's going to be Tim with first mover advantage over towards that Dragon.
Yeah, will back out here. Has not recalled yet, so doesn't have any items. I think this is a good chance for Tim to get that first major buy. Will have the Iron Spike and be able to roam out on the map and be even more of a pressure point. Izzo now looking to find Mystiken here. Has the cage. Might find the kill.
And I think they will, in fact, be able to get the kill. Yoshi Miner, unfortunately, even with the Ghost activation, not able to get in front of the Veigar in time. So that's Ultimate just coming down right on top of Mystiken's head. And now Pata, having rotated in, is going to start dominating this Vladimir as well, making this such a rough situation for Happy to be here. Pride Stalker NA does have the Nature's Grass, is going to be able to hit Pata back with the Bramble Smash, but this Baby Cage is doing a lot to zone away the Vladimir. And somehow, with the Ward Hops, the Jax also gets out. Pride Stalker just didn't have the damage.
Yeah, and that's huge for Izzo. They're picking up the solo kill, able to knock Mystiken down a peg. Again, the farm advantage for Tim only continuing to grow as he's able to pick up this first major neutral objective of the game with no contest, really, from the side of Happy.
All right, well, Optimal Esports Infinity, they have pulled ahead. They are now up probably about 800 gold at this point versus Happy to be here. And that can turn into a whole lot more if Yoshi Miner isn't careful. Great punishment there from Izzo. Once again, the mid laner of Optimal Esports Infinity is a huge carry for their side. The fact that they have already picked up that kill versus Mystiken is going to be a rough patch for them. And so overall, I think that now OEI, off the backs of that Dragon as well, are in a very comfortable position early. And this is not something I expected at all, Aulz.
No, not in the slightest. We're going to have to put that to the side, though, as Tim going in hard here.
And if they get another kill, this could just be it. OEI going to get that kill over to Robin, in fact. A really good call by Tim. Just coming back to this very immobile bot side of the map. And Vortex Ninja just has to watch as their support dies for a second time. Now, that is, in fact, going to be a 1,000 gold lead secured by Blue Squad, and their scaling is not something to scoff at. You know, obviously, Ezreal is going to get online. Yoshi Miner on that Vladimir going to scale massively as well, but you have Izzo already ahead, able to dominate the lane quite nicely, developing about a 20 CS lead over the Vampire, and Robin doing such a great job once again on the Sivir, just holding on, and now they're getting fed those kills to really pull out.
Yeah, the downside, though, is Tim showing on the bot side again means that Mystiken was able to pick up a Herald. On the top side, Pride Stalker has created a significant CS advantage for himself in the top lane, so this Maokai is going to be pretty difficult to cut through. And I don't know if Robin necessarily is going to have enough damage to do it. It's going to be on Izzo to cut through the Maokai.
All right, well, Robin and Blue Caboose are being taken relatively low. Vortex Ninja still has a full health bar to play with alongside that True Shot Barrage, so these bot laners have to be careful, but happy to be here. They are just going to respect, walk back towards the wave, and OEI has a little bit more room to breathe once again.
Yeah, Robin and Blue Caboose doing a good job of spacing here, making sure that Savant isn't able to get too much poke out with the volleys here. Didn't make the mistake of buying an early D-Blade, so Savant is winning today.
All right, well, happy to be here. I like the fact that they're staying relatively aggressive, especially bot side of the map. As long as they have vision, I think that they are still well warranted to do this, even with now Robin getting quite a gold advantage over Vortex Ninja. I think that at this point in time, Savant just has so much more innate power than the Soraka does. So keeping that pressure, especially with Mystiken pathing bot, means that there's definitely a potential for them to grab something. Although Yoshi Minor maybe getting caught out here. Good job by Tim trying to wait on that Q before the Yoshi Minor emerges from the Sanguine pool. The problem is that Dragon's Rage, I think it went the wrong direction. They may have been looking for an insect or something, but they just send the Vladimir packing back towards the fountain. Now here comes the Soraka ultimate to keep these Blue Squad members healthy, but Izzo is caught out by the Nature's Grasp. Mr. Ken just pulls the trigger, jumps in with their Cataclysm. Now that's a Veigar dead.
Veigar is dead, and Tim might not be long for this world either. The flash forward from Pride Stalker is going to secure it.
Yeah, maximum range there on the W, just able to go forward with a twisted advance, and they're able to kill the Lee Sin before Pada could really rotate in to make that a 2v1. So good call there by the Maokai, making that a very favorable play for Happy to be here. They've evened up the gold.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for Izzo and Tim. Tried to pull the trigger onto Yoshi Minor, however, the fully empowered transfusion just kept Yoshi so healthy, bought enough time for the Hemo Plague to come through. Now Pada's losing pretty badly topside too.
Oh no, that's so unfortunate. Pada getting hit by a nice Bramble Smash, keeping Pride Stalker ahead of them as they try to retreat back towards the tower. That's the first solo kill I think we've seen for Pride Stalker versus Pada, and the fact that it's going that direction means that Happy to be here. They've pulled ahead on multiple fronts.
I think there might have been a solo kill or two in the Renekton Rengar game.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
That Rengar rather was pretty scary. Pride Stalker is going to get 2 turret plates off of this as well. This is going to be a huge swing of gold in the Maokai's favor.
Yep, and now Happy to be here as well. Have found a lot of purchases in this bot side. River could look to just split the dragon stacking, make sure that Optimal Esports Infinity have to go pretty deep in order to find themselves a soul. That being said, we got to see if that Echoing Strike's going to come through for Tim. They could easily ride that in and try to do something versus the Vladimir, although Saban rotating into the mid lane now, finding Tim with the Enchanted Crystalero. That's just going to turn things right back around for Red Team. And now, without the Lee Sin on the map, that is full control for the second dragon.
Yeah, if they want it, although it almost looks like they want to dive Izzo here, punish this mid lane even harder. Finally peeling off now towards the Drake, but suddenly all of the momentum swing is just heading Red Team's way. It's baffling, because really OEI were doing so good at controlling this game.
And Happy to be here, while they are getting a lot of gold over into their pockets, it's really not off the back of huge gambles. They just feel so confident. Their momentum in just this whole series has truly been on their side, and I think that they recognize that they are in fact the better players here, as long as they can maintain some amount of the confidence that they shared from games 2, from games 3. I think that they think this is going to be their series. That being said, Pride Soccer NA maybe a little bit too prideful here. Gotta fire off the Nature's Grasp. Pada and Tim able to continue to push forward though, and yeah, this Maokai doing as much as they can to buy space for themselves, but eventually they are shut down by the Jax.
Yeah, bought a lot of time, though. Could give an opening for Mystiken to get something out of this. Looks like it'll just be an invade for now, but that puts Robin and Izzo both on watch. They could be ganked from behind at any moment.
And this is a deep invade for Mystiken, so that's going to provide a little bit more space for Happy to be here to rotate wherever they so desire. Jarvan can immediately path into the mid lane once this wave bounces back, and maybe Izzo will be a bit caught out. Actually, they're even going to get Savan to join them, and Veigar, wondering what's going on, may accidentally face check into a very, very angry King of Demacia.
Looks like there was a smart ward placed down there in the bush by the chickens to keep Izzo safe. Will buy enough space. They do still lose this first mid turret here, though, likely. Oh, the arrow coming down.
Yeah, they might actually lose quite a bit more. Izzo does not have the luxury of getting the cleanse. They are trying to do the best they can with the cage here to pull Tim into the area. Mystiken able to flash out to safety, crosses back over the flag and drags Savan peeking over the wall, getting a few autos in as well. What a beautiful play. That's a 2-for-0, and first turret going over to Happy to be here.
That is really, really disastrous here. Izzo needed to be the rock, needed to be the center around which OEI built their team this game. And after that first kill, he's struggled. They've really put a lot of pressure into making sure that this Veigar doesn't get ahead. And Yoshi Minor now at 1-0-2, still a little behind on CS, but doing just fine. Has the turret taken already. Now, Happy to be here is able to push that vision line in so deep. It's going to be next to impossible for OEI to start contesting any of these next neutral objectives unless they get a pick.
And right now, Optimal Esports Infinity have lost a lot of what makes their early game strong. Tim is so far behind on this Lee Sin pick now versus the Jarvan. They're kind of out of the game for the time being, if not permanently. We all know that Lee Sin is one of those champions that needs to snowball. They have been denied that opportunity right now. They aren't particularly ahead on farm, and they are super behind on ganks.
Yeah, absolutely. 1, 3, and 2 doesn't sound good even in a vacuum, but when you compare it to 4, 1, and 2, Mystican doing great.
Yeah, Savon, once again, very disrespectful around the Tribush. That's the second time that's happened, and that's the second time that they are going to be killed off of a play like that. So they got to be a little bit more judicious about how they establish vision. Obviously, Ashe is a great support with a lot of pick potential, but you can't walk alone. You're very vulnerable in scenarios like that, and we see them rightfully punished for that. That's a 2-0-1 Robin. And now Sivir could, in fact, be the carry. Maybe this is going to be the narrative, the comeback kid for OEI.
Yeah, I mean, this would be great. It would be nice to see Robin step up in the major, most impactful game and play well after having a rough games 1, 2, and 3. Gonna have to see him turn this Sivir into something positive. Second Rift Herald, though, was already taken by Happy to Be Here. They're collapsing now onto Izzo, looking to find another kill.
Oh, man, but Izzo is able to get out. That's a triple man cage, and now they got Tim covering for them. So I think Red Squad, for the time being, just have to walk back, get another push going, clearing this wave and getting the Shelly crash into the second tower. But I mean, now OEI, they bought the space to rotate into the mid lane. They could actually be going for an engage. Tim here, getting the Dragon's Rage down onto Pride Stalker, just going to jump over to Blue Cup Boost. So no kill so far, but here comes Pata. Yoshi Miner comes out of the Sanguine pool, and they're in a lot of trouble. There's the Leap Strike, and now this Jax is a real threat. Has the Grandmaster's Might ahead of them. Pride Stalker being taken to less than half health. There's another Leap Strike coming forward. Veigar caging up Savon, getting their ultimate off as well. So the Ashe will be sent packing for the 4th time. Happy to be here. Overextend. And now look at this. Once again, the game is bouncing back, this time for OEI.
Yeah, this is great. Finally finding something. That mid turret is hanging on by such a thread, though. No health left on that thing. I mean, good defensive fight, though. That's what they needed to do. Rotating in, finding the fights, picking off Yoshi Miner, coming out of the Sanguine pool, finding Pride Stalker, taking him out of the fight before the tankiness can become a problem. You like to see that. They just need to be able to do that again and again and again.
And I mean, OEI getting a lot of those kills over to Fed members, the Veigar, the Jax. I was gonna say the Pata. It's like he's his own champion. But regardless, yeah, that's the perfect play to get back into this game. When you look at the gold concentration, the emphasis on the jungler for Happy to Be Here looks a little bit worse. Yeah, they're still able to do quite a bit, but unfortunately,
TP cancel.
I don't. Yeah, that was a great TP cancel. So Pata's going to be stuck up there with Pride Soccer, and that could be the opportunity for Red Squad to go for a second Dragon stack those up. But I would be worried. You know, there still is full-on engage potential with Tim, with Izzo covering this area. Izzo actually going to clear out the bot side for the time being. So it actually looks like this is going to just be a full-up give angle. And now actually Izzo might be in a little bit of trouble. Hemoplate put onto them alongside the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. W from Savon is going to take this champion even lower. Yoshi Miner going for the dive under the tower, getting hit by the tower aggro though. Mystican has to be the one to clean that up. Vortex Ninja actually going to grab it off the back of a True Shot Barrage. A 1-for-1 though, not that bad for the Veigar.
No, not bad for the Veigar, and they're getting a lot of pressure on this mid turret. It's probably going to go down here, so this does break open the map a little bit for OEI. Lets them get some vision now, moving into Happy to Be Here's jungle, and potentially make it easier to take the next Drake fight in 4.5 minutes. Take the Baron fight that's going to be happening sometime in the next 3-4 minutes. This could be, you know, a very, very big net positive as long as Blue Caboose and Tim can ward safely.
Yeah, certainly. And Happy to Be Here are kind of in an awkward position where their side lanes have not had the towers taken down yet. And so Pride Soccer NA is really concentrated on keeping the top side alive and keeping Pata pushed back. And while they did succeed in interrupting the teleport there that could have given that dragon over to OEI, the problem is they're also just not able to group and play like a Maokai should, which is nature grasping every single freaking fight, basically. And same kind of thing bot side. Yoshi Miner not able to really contribute to a big shove mid onto that dying tier 2 tower that Happy to Be Here has established.
Savon is not allowed to do this.
And now Savon is yet again caught out. just stop going for vision at this point. Sell the support item. You know, it's basically what happened in game number 3, right?
Yeah, except intentional this time.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Good grief. That, I mean, I understand the Ashe being aggressive, trying to find vision here, trying to get easier plays for your team, but come on. After you get picked 2, 3, 4 times, you have to learn better.
Yep, and now Tim is in a little bit of trouble, but the same could be said about Pride Soccer NA top. This is a very fraught fight. 4 members of Optimal Esports are here. Pata is looking for a way to set this dive up while also simultaneously zoning out Mr. Ken, who's already flashed back. Tim similarly has been a summoner spell, but actually the first kill from this whole setup is going to come bot. Izzo, a monster. Once again, the Vega are making it through draft. This time for Optimal Esports Infinity, it's really turning the game in their favor.
Yeah, the downside is Vortex Ninja did pick up that tier 2 in mid, did push the wave all the way to the inhibitor, is still putting out pressure, so not a complete loss for Happy to be here. They're still getting something on the map, even if it's a loss overall.
And right now, OEI, the value that is coming from their play is the fact that, yeah, now they've even up the tower score, or now Happy to be here is even up the tower score, but OEI clearly is besieging this top tower, and from there, they're drawing so many resources from HBH for so long into this area that they're able to, I think, more positively impact the map. I want to see some more vision established for them around the next dragon, split the difference. I know it's just Cloud Soul, but still could be a huge boon for them to really kind of grind Happy to be here scaling to a halt.
Yeah, they definitely have the opportunity here, especially with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow down. They have a window to make a major play. But Mr. Ken wants it first.
Yeah, Blue Caboose going low, gets hit by the Cataclysm and just forced to flash away the Nature's Grass, coming in a little bit too late. Robin just got a Spell Shield, make the gap that the Soraka is able to sit in. Really good coordination between the two of them.
Yeah, but this fight isn't over yet. Savant and Vortex Ninja are deep behind. Mr. Ken joining them. OEI has to start finding pressure elsewhere in the map. With the way the waves are, they can't draw this pressure away from Robin and Blue Clues. They're going to have to give up this turret.
Yep, and that is going to be really valuable. Happy to be here in a great situation where eventually their tenacity is going to pay off up there, and all of a sudden the map looks so much worse for Optimal Esports Infinity. I know it's just a small thing, but having the pushing top, having the pushing mid means that now you have a lot better focus around this dragon that's spawning up in about a minute, and therefore control has bounced right back over to Red Squad, while Optimal Esports Infinity did not actually finish their homework, did not actually do what I was talking about, where they needed to path down here and go for some vision secured around it. Pata gonna help a little bit with the taking of the Scuttle Crab, but not enough for me to feel super comfortable with a blue team walking up to contest.
Yeah, the entirety of Happy to be here is moving through this jungle, is pushing in to get vision. Pride Stalker leading the charge with those saplings, and only now is OEI moving in as a group of 4. They might be able to find Yoshi Miner here, but a great hawk shot sniffs it out, and this is just going to be a straight 5v5.
All right, the question is, how can OEI actually access this bot side river without just getting rolled by all of the engage that Happy to be here has? They're able to start up this dragon, and look at all the zone control that Pride Soccer NA is providing. Here comes the Nature's Grasp already. Pata getting rooted up, gonna jump backwards. Yoshi Miner trying to get in with the Hemo Plague, doing quite a bit of damage. Kills Blue Caboose outright, and unfortunately, the Sivir has nowhere to go either. Izzo doing all that they can to try to burst back some of these members of Happy to be here, but the Jarvan has built tanky and survive their encounter with the Vagar. That's 3 members of Blue Squad dead, and Happy to be here will get their desired dragon.
Yeah, they got that very cleanly. Poor positioning, a poor entry into that fight was horrid for OEI, not able to get anything out of it. And now Izzo in trouble, forced to go golden underneath the turret.
I think it saves him, though.
Yeah, he gets out. Fair enough.
Oh man, you gotta love stopwatch. Such an interesting item that totally deserves to exist in League of Legends.
Remember when it didn't have, a high cost, or commencing stopwatch didn't have a cooldown, and everyone was just running stopwatch for the first 3
yeah,
patches?
I remember
it was fun. It was real balanced.
It still feels like we haven't really left those days, right? I mean, everybody still builds stopwatch. It's a very present item. Probably every game, I would think I've seen at least one, right? And I don't know what that says about the health of the meta, but I think at this point, Riot have realized it's like a losing battle to like nerf that item.
Yeah, it's expensive, but the price of a second and a half of life on a button push is high enough that everyone will pay the tax.
Or go for the rune that gives you one for free.
Well, yes. Mystiken in trouble, or not in trouble, finding trouble for Robin and Blue Caboose here. Good damage coming out of the J4. At 4, 1, and 6, he is a threat and a half right now. Whoops. Sounds like I may have kind of lost Nyarko here. Not entirely certain what's going on. We'll keep an eye on that. But in the meantime, OEI trying to keep this mid lane pushed out, trying to force forward here, despite the fact that Happy to Be Here is pushing on all 3 lanes. The Vladimir doing a good job of keeping the bot lane pushed in. Maokai doing his job in the top side. And the vision on this Baron continuing to be Happy to Be Here's. Robin in trouble now. The J4 ult comes in. Cataclysm is down. Sivert trying to stay alive here. Under half. The Wish comes out. Spying enough time for Tim to get in. Mystiken is the first to fall. Now Tim tracing down onto Vortex Endo. Will find 2. The shutdown goes through. The Crystal Arrow goes wide. Savan is next. A triple kill for the Lee Sin. And that might just be Baron for OEI, finding the pick, finding the angle, and with just Yoshi Miner and Pride Stalker NA alive, I don't think there's anything that Happy to Be Here can do to contest this. They're trying their best, but their best is not enough. Pride Stalker looking over the wall. Can Yoshi Miner find anything? The Hemo Plague, is it going to come down? Looks like no. Yoshi Miner running away now, trying to get away from Tim. Will do so, but it's still 5 members of OEI with Baron turning this game around, trying to keep it alive. They really want to hear Silver Scrapes, y'all.
Did I miss a Lee Sin triple kill?
You missed a Lee Sin triple kill. I'm not sure what happened to you, my friend.
Oh, jeez. Well, I know I DC'd at the very least. I can still hear you for most of that. But, yeah, unfortunately, I come back right as the fight ends. Really, really good play by Optimal Esports Infinity, knowing their limits. Tim, I said that they were virtually out of this one, and all of a sudden, boom, they're at 4 kills, the same as a Mystiken. And off the back of that, they also get the Baron to boot. Happy to Be Here now are looking to be in a pretty awkward position. Sure, they're even on gold, but you have to imagine that given the fact that only 2 tires have gone down for Optimal Esports Infinity right now, they're going to get a whole lot off this Baron play.
Yeah, and you know, there is a hidden gold stat that we haven't checked yet this game, and that is the number of stacks on Izzo. Currently only sitting at 531 AP, but has nearly 250 stacks, so not slouching is the Vygar. Will be, you know, doing a fair bit of damage here, especially once he completes the Zanyas and starts moving towards that Rabadon's.
And right now, with Optimal Esports Infinity buying so much time off the back of a Baron push, and in fact, getting a lot of profit off the Baron push, I'm going to say that this is pretty firmly in Blue Squad's control right now. They just got to deny this upcoming soul. That being said, Happy to Be Here. They're playing scrappy. They know that Izzo is the target, and so they're going to force them all the way into this alcove, and that's a big shutdown going over to the Vladimir, no less.
Yeah, Vladimir getting a lot of gold here. However, that does mean there's just one defender on both the top and mid lane. OEI needs to use this opportunity to push forward, and will be doing so in the mid lane. Vortex Ninja being forced very far out as OEI pushes forward.
All right, well, Pada honestly has been kind of struggling this game versus their performance in prior matches. Here, Pride Soccer NA has gotten to the point where they're tanky enough to just kind of face down the Jax, although now, with so many other members of OEI pushing in, this could finally be them meeting their demise. Good Dragon's Rage is going to force them outside of the tower. Robin picks the kill up, and in fact, that is the tier 2 top going down.
Yeah, this is OEI doing what they need to do, rotating around the map, getting small victories. The downside is they are going to lose that Drake Soul. It is just a Cloud Soul, but it's still something that I don't want to give up, especially onto a Maokai, especially onto a Vladimir. These are champions that get so much value out of that extra movement speed. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult in these fights to run them perfectly, and we've already seen when the fights go wrong, they go very, very wrong for OEI.
I know that it's not something we've been tracking a whole lot, but Yoshi Miner, for some reason, is now only 1,000 gold behind Robin, who's been farming up a Storm. Those two are the most fed members of the game right now. And frankly, I think that at this point in time, with 3 items completed and a stacking Dark Seal, Yoshi Miner could take down anyone. It's up to Robin to position well and get some consistent damage down onto everybody else and let Izzo try to duel out this other mage.
Yeah, absolutely. Robin can do a great job of zoning people, has 3 items, has the LDR, can cut through both Pridestalker and Mystiken pretty well right now, especially since Pridestalker doesn't have any real tank stats. The Fimbulwinter and the Radiant Virtue are nice in terms of health, but they don't really offer resistances, so still able to cut through that tree pretty easily.
What really worries me as well is the fact that with Happy to be here on this Soul, you have a very accelerated game state where the Elder Dragon is going to be coming up soon. Any fight that either team wants to take is going to have massive ramifications on the map. This is going to be the only lull state we have for a while, Aulz, because in 2 minutes that Baron is going to be up. Baron is going to probably beget all of the tempo necessary on the map for one of these teams to secure a lot of vision around the Elder Dragon, and so the pivot there will be very easy. And I think that right now, Happy to be here, for as much as they have been set onto the back foot by this push down of multiple towers and multiple lanes by Optimal Esports Infinity, they are not out of this quite yet, and they have a very, very strong entry point into team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. This is still anyone's game, and I'm not even convinced that we have to wait for the neutral buffs to do it. I think that these teams, with the way that they are right now, could just find a fight in mid lane. It could just be, hey, let's all brawl and call the game there. Anything is possible with these guys.
I wouldn't say it's a good idea, but I certainly think that both of these teams could just handshake for a big fight to end the game. Right now, with the gold as even as it is, I think that OEI are in a very good spot as long as they're able to protect the puppy in the form of Rama, so more like protect the bird. But this is also an angle. Savon's in a lot of trouble. Once again, almost picked off. Tim may have overextended, though, and now Vortex Ninja is able to just drop down so much damage on them. Tim has the GA popped, even with Blue Cabooses' ultimate coming out, and now Yoshi Miner, because of that, they can start chasing down the rest of the team with the Hemo Plague activated. They are so damn fast. They ghost as well. They get a double kill. Izzo getting caught out. Will be able to cage up and get to safety. But I mean, Happy to be here. They get another beautiful fight in their favor. And in fact, the Veigar may not even be able to escape. Another cage is coming through, but it may be too late as Yoshi Miner has wrapped around all the way to the far side on a grand adventure. They aren't even needed. Izzo's just gonna fall. It's 12 seconds before Baron Nashor comes up. Happy to be here. They have found their way into the late game.
Hey, so they could just find a fight mid lane and end the game off that, huh, Nyarko?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Pata's doing. Like, there's no way you can test the Vladimir at this point. That's shutdown. That's a full-on ace. Blue Caboose the only one up right now. And yeah, I don't think that Happy to be here are ending right now. They are making the right call by just going for the Baron Nashor buff, but they certainly are in a position to end once this comes over to them and they get back, and Yoshi Miner gets basically full build off that play.
Yeah, Yoshi Miner now enormous, sitting with 2,800 gold in pocket, will have the fully completed Mage Eyes, might have the fully completed Void Staff as well. Maokai almost at 3 items, J4 at 3, Ezreal approaching 4. These are very, very scary champions, and Robin's still ahead. Robin is still meaningful right now, but at the same time, it feels like what advantages they have are slipping away if they keep picking fights like that.
And so now we see the unified push Aulz, and this is really what the game comes down to. As I said before, there's also the looming threat of Elder Dragon. It Happy to be here overstay. If they really just throw it to try to go for like an inhib takedown or something like that, Optimal Esports Infinity can ostensibly rally and go back, grab themselves the Elder buff, wait out whatever remaining Baron Nashor pushes that there are, and then they all of a sudden will have things back in their court as long as kills go over to Izzo and company. Blue Caboose, though, already picked out, makes that a dying hope. Yoshi Minor, so damn strong, able to just stand under the tower and zone off so many members. They're already taken low, but they're going to be able to heal right back up. It is a Vladimir after all, and now happy to be here. They're moving all the way on to the Nexus Turret. They want to end this right here, right now. And Aulz, I don't really know what optimally in Esports Infinity can do to answer back against this. Pride Soccer NA isolated. Pata trying to find a way back onto these vulnerable members, but the Nexus falls so damn fast. Happy to be here. They didn't even need to worry about the fight. They had Yoshi Minor on their side, and now they have a Series 1 in their back pocket. They're moving on. Optimal Esports Infinity have been eliminated.
Yeah, after game 1, this is not how we expected this series to go, but happy to be here, putting their foot down, saying emphatically that they are still a part of the OCL, that they will still be a part of this tournament, that they are not done just yet. What a game. What a way to prove that they are a team worth watching.
What an impressive showing. Happy to be here. You know, we doubted them after last week, Alls. It was a weak performance versus Optimal Esports Infinity's sister team, the Optimal Esports Lemons, but clearly they have grown since then. And now up against Infinity, they have shown that they are the better team here in this lower bracket. They are going to continue on for some more battles, maybe looking to take it all the way back to finals and maybe a return versus the Lemons. But for right now, they are able to rest happy, knowing that they've secured this win and that their hopes of becoming champions of this league still are about them. Meanwhile, Optimal Esports Infinity, even in the Optimal Championship League, they will not find the way to continue on, proving that this is not rigged at the very least.
Hey, you know, that's something good to prove. Always got to drop one team so that you can rig it in favor of the other.
And there we are. That is going to be the end of the series and the end of our broadcast for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for hanging on for so long. I'm exhausted, and unfortunately, my ability to cast has been impeded upon by the fact that I really do not want to get evicted by casting beyond midnight. It is 1 a.m. where I'm at. I know, Alt, you got stuff to do tomorrow. The same thing can be said for Robin. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please drop a follow for the OCL because we got tons more action throughout the week. I think the next time we're going live will be on Sunday for, I believe it is Rag versus the Lemons or something like that. Rag versus TFT.
Yep, you and Bonfire taking on that one. Going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm looking forward to watching from the other side of the Twitch screen. And if y'all on the other side of the Twitch screen want to see that, hit that follow button so you can be notified every time we go live. With that being said, unless you've got anything else for us, Nyarko, I think it's time for us to call it a night.
I got nothing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good one.